Okay, so in order to get to that point where I installed the sign, first you have to lay it out and make it. So here's what the finished product looked like. Okay, and here's what our template looks like that we use for our litter control. Well, they decided to do litter control and wildflowers both. And in the past, what we have done is we made one sign that said litter control and then another one that said wildflowers. But in order to keep down on the amount of signs that we have out there, we're going to incorporate them onto one sign when somebody wants to do a road. So in order to get there, I had a few little hoops to jump through. So first of all, the Milivacca Wine Company logo I had to do. Okay, so here's what I started with, what they gave me. So what I tried to do is I tried to do what we call like a trace. I go under my bitmap and I'm going to do a vectorize and I'm going to do auto trace and I'm going to select this and I'm going to try to auto trace that. Okay. And then what happened when I pulled it out is it doesn't look very good. There's just no way that that is going to work. And you can see how when I make this logo bigger, how it pixelizes it. So that was a PDF and there's just no way that this is going to look good on their sign. So that was out. So I asked him for a better file that we can use. So they sent me an EPS. Okay, a lot of times when people have send you a logo, they'll send you a picture or something, and they'll say, "Oh, this is what we want." See, they have no idea how this works. So fortunately, some people do, and this company just happens to have a lot of these wine companies that have wineries and stuff. They have graphic artists that have all their artwork for them. So they sent me this. Now, it was easy, an EPS file. I just opened it up, and there's a Milivacca. Perfect. So then what I had to do is this is only, as you can see, 14 by 8 and by 4 inches, well, but almost 4.5 inches. So what I have to do now is make the sponsor plate, which is it's going to fit in here. See where it says Milivacca? Okay, in order to make that Milivacca, what I did then, so there's their Milivacca. Okay, so what I had to do to make that is I took Milivacca that they gave me on the EPS file, and I went ahead and I just made a, this is going to be 29 inches across and about 10 inches high, and the radius on it's going to be 1.50. I'll hit my enter key, okay? And let's turn this, it's going to be blue, so let's turn it traffic blue, and we're going to take the wireframe off of it, okay? See that Milivacca, it's going to hide behind there. So what I want to do now is I want to arrange that order. I want to bring that to the front. See now how it sits on the front of that? So when I go ahead and hit my Control 5, so it's centered in there, but it's awful small in there. We don't want it that small. Actually, it's going to be white. Let's just go with solid fill. And it's going to be white. No wireframe. Okay, so there's a Milivacca. It's awful small in there, so what we want to do is we want to enlarge this, okay? Let me make a copy of this and show you what happens. And we want to turn that black so we can see it. So what happens if you just try to stretch out this logo and say, okay, well, I want it this long. We'll see how it distorts it. That's no good. And if you try to increase the size by dragging it down, that's no good either. You have to increase the size proportionately. So we want to go, this is 29, so we want to leave a 1/2 inch border around. So we want this to be 28. So we want to make sure that this proportional is checked, okay? So what it will do, if you grab the sides like this, it'll make it proportional. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to delete that. So we're going to take this and we're going to make this 28 inches long, but we're going to keep it proportional with the box checked. So we'll go 28 inches long. Now it fits in there perfect. Okay, so pretty much there's our Milivacca. Okay, So what then I did is I brought that in over and I placed it at the bottom of this sign into our new design that I laid out. Okay, so there's Amelia Vaca. So there's one hurdle done. Next, they're doing Yount Mill Road. Okay, so we want to change our next 2 miles. So we're going to go up to our text tool. We're just going to select the regular text tool. Okay, and we're just going to change that to Yount Mill Road. Okay, as you can see, well, Yount Mill Road is awful big. It's not going to fit in there. So this is 29 across. So we're going to make that 28. And we're going to make it 28 across. Okay. And now what I'll do is I will center it in here. I'll just bring out some a reference line, and now we're going to get the road part here. And we'll just bring it over. Okay, now we're in there. It's still a little big. It doesn't have enough. So let's go 27.75. Oh, that'll shrink it down about another 1/4 inch, and that'll give us plenty of room on both sides. Okay, so now we have our Amelia Vaca. We have our Yount Mill Road. Now I had to come up with the control, litter control and wildflowers. As you can see, if we just bring the provided by down, okay, now what we had to do is litter control provided by, and then we had to do the and wildflowers. So what we have to do is put the text in. We're just going to enter and put and enter wildflowers. Okay. So now that's all grouped together, as you can see. So if we try to move it at all, it's going to move everything there. So that's not really going to work. So we're going to come up to the text and we're going to break it apart. So now each line is individual. We'll bring this and over. And we're going to make it a little bit smaller. We're going to go 2 inches with that. And then we'll bring our wildflowers up. And we still don't have enough room in there to fit that. So what I had to do then is we're just going to bring up the green. Which is the hills and stuff. And we're going to bring up the grape cluster as far as we can. And then we can bring up the litter control a little bit further. We'll bring the and up. And we'll bring the wildflowers up. Okay, still a little crowded in there. So what we'll do is we're just going to go ahead and we'll go 3 inches on this. Let's see. So that brought it down a little bit. This Yount Mill Road, for example, it's only supposed to have a 1/2 inch border down here. So there's 20. And there's our 1/2 inch right there. So what I'll do is I'll bring this whole thing down to there. The Yount Mill Road with its banner. We're going to bring it down to match it. So we have a 1/2 inch. So we have a 1/2 inch there. And up at the top, we're pretty tight up there. So I'll have to bring it down. So we have a little gap up top. Bring the provided by back down a little. And so I noticed that when I laid out this sign originally, as you can see how it comes down further, it just didn't look good like that. And this provided by in wildflowers, still it needed some space in here. So what I'll do is I'll bring up these hills. And I'll bring the grapes over a little bit so they don't touch on it and bring them up a touch. And I can come up with my litter control now a little bit more. We'll bring up the and the wildflowers will come up. And this provided by can go down just a little bit, give it some space in between. So we have about the same distance here and here. So now what I had to do is bring down the blue line, the border line, whatever you want to call it, the frame. So you can't just, if you try to drag it down to where you think it should be, see how it made it all, it changed that proportion right there. It just didn't work out right. So what you have to do, let me back that up to where it was, is I'm going to have to bring that line down. Let me bring all these back up again. Even with this. So I want to bring this line to match where this is. So these blue lines I need to bring down. So in order to do that, it's not too hard. I always figure out a way to do stuff. So let's just come in here. We're going to take our blue border here and we're going to turn it into a wireframe. It's easier to work with. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my, what I'll do is I'll just make a copy of it. Paste that. And I'm going to just keep it as a wireframe. So what I'll do is I have these lines set up. Okay, so there's the top of that line there. And then I do have a bottom one for the where that blue line goes, okay? So what I'm going to do now, what I had to do, I should say, is come over and grab this, and we're going to bring it up to where we wanted it on the top part. Now the bottom part, like I said, you can't just drag it down because you'll change this arc in here and then the Napa County won't fit in there. Change that back to blue. So what I had to do, or what you have to do then, is I just come up here, grab the cleaver, and I'm going to make a series of 2 lines. 1, 2, cut those lines, okay? I'll come up to my, now what it'll do is you can see the bottom part of the lines. I want to hit both of those because I want to move them simultaneously so that they both come down at the same level. And I'll just bring those down to the line where they're supposed to be, okay? So that's where that is. Now we have to join these pieces up. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to bring it down to match that one. And this one I'm just going to bring up a little bit higher. Okay. Same thing here. You grab the inside arrow and bring it up. So now you have this. You have these overlapping lines, but you can't send that off to the cutter because your cutter will cut those and we don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is just real simple. We're going to come up here. You have to do them one at a time. Come up to the effects. So I highlighted that and I want to remove the overlap. See how it removed the overlap? Or you come in here, do the same thing. Effects. Go to the combine, remove the overlap. And I'm going to come in here, effects, under combine, remove overlap. And effects, same thing, and remove overlap, okay? Now what we want to do is we want to take those, we can highlight both of those, and we'll come up to the effects where it says combine, we're going to weld those two together. Now see, there's no more line in there. And we'll do the same thing up here. We highlighted those, combine, and then we're just going to weld them. So now we have a solid border that we can send off to the cutter, and it's not going to make those cut lines in there. So what I'll do now is I'll just take and I'll remove this one. Get that one totally out of the way. So this one I'm going to take the wireframe off, make it solid, And it's 29 inches across already. That's what I'm looking for. And we'll just bring it over. And we'll just move it over. So there we go. What I do want to make sure is that all of these, when I send them off to my cutter to cut them, we'll use this line right here, is that all these are the same. Okay, so this is 29 inches across. Let me get this back here. Okay, so this is 29 across. This Miliavaca is 20 on the outside border. It's 29 across. And the Yount Mill Road isn't quite 29 across. So we are going to make it 29 across. We're just going to punch in 29, and it's 29 inches across now. So all three of them are 29. So what I want to do is take this and the provided by, and I'm going to group them together. Okay, and I'm going to bring a line over here, and I'm going to snap these. Hold down on my shift, select, and I'm going to snap him over to that line. And I'm going to do the same thing here with the Miliavaca label. I'm going to make sure they're grouped together, and then I want to select the line again. You can see how the little box, the line put a little white box in it. Hold down on my shift, select that, and that, and we're just going to slide that over. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with Yount Mill Road. Select them both, make sure they're grouped together. Okay, now we'll select our white line again, or our guideline here. As a little box showed up. Select this, and we'll snap that over. So now they're all the same. So then what I'll do is I'll hit my, here's my sign blank here. So it's nice and centered there. So all we have to do is take our blue here, and our blue here. And we can slide all those over so they're perfectly centered. Okay, get rid of some of this stuff here. Get rid of that. What I always want to do though first, before I get rid of all that stuff, is I always check out everything to make sure, like the litter control and the and the wildflowers is all even. Provided by is even. So everything's all centered and perfect, I guess you could say. So there's a little, little extra steps that's involved in laying out a sign. You don't just all of a sudden, the sign just doesn't appear from somewhere. Obviously, it has to be made by somebody. And so now we have our litter control sign all laid out. All they have to do is save it in the file. It'll be saved forever. And then the next step, like I said, you'll see in the series of videos, we've already installed the sign. Now I'm going back and I'm showing you how we got there to install the sign. You don't just get there by just pulling up a computer and saying, oh, here, we want this sign. You have to go out and you have to make it. So there's a little insight on how to lay out and make a sign. If you have to do any adjustments to it, it's fine. So now what I'll do when I save this, if anybody else comes in and wants to do litter control and wildflowers, we already have the layout already. I'm going to save this, and it won't be a problem. We'll just put their own sponsorship right here, and then if they're going to do a whole road or just a part of the road, we have some of them like Silverado Trail. It's a 28-mile road. You can't do all the Silverado Trail, so it'll say like next 1 mile or 2 miles, however much they decide to pick up. So there it is, the layout of the sign.
All right, there we go. There's the steps in installing a sign. We made the sign, we installed the sign, and we designed the sign, not necessarily in that order. So there's the 3 steps involved in, traffic signs. It's all not just, hey, let's go put a sign in, it takes some planning and stuff. Also, I believe there's going to be a part 4, because now we have to show how we track the sign. We put it into our system, the job's not done until the paperwork's done. Well, at the county, we can't say that anymore because there is no such thing as paperwork. Now we say the job's not done until the electronic work is done, I guess you'd say, because we've obliterated paper now. Everything's all electronic. Several steps involved, but things get confusing and all chaos breaks loose. Who are you going to turn to? That's right, you're going to turn to the site man. As always, thanks for watching.